Before we start the big project for Unit 2, we're going to do a couple little mini projects to make sure that we all understand what's happening. The first thing we need to do is take a look at what a timeline is. If we're going to animate, we must use a timeline. You'll notice here I have a new Flash document, but my timeline's missing. If that ever happens, go to Window and check off Timeline, and it'll bring it up. So right now we have layer 1. You've used layers before, used in the last project, but we haven't really looked at it horizontally. This is a single frame, and I know that because it says frame 1 and I have a little white dot, which means it's an empty keyframe. We'll talk about that in a second. Keyframes are going to be really important. As we move down the timeline, our time would extend out. So right now we're running at 24 FPS, which stands for frames per second. So if my animation were to stop on frame 24, my animation would be exactly 1 second long. If it stopped on 48, it would be 2 seconds long, and so on and so forth. And we can change that speed, but right now we're going to keep it at 24 frames per second. The first thing I want to do is I want to talk about labeling our timeline. It helps us kind of plan out our animation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on layer 1 and I'm going to call it label. And you'll be doing this on your own project, which you'll be turning in before you start the final one. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to call it label. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to look underneath window and find the word properties. And it should be a window that looks like this. It may already be up. You may just have to look around for it. When I click on the keyframe, and again that's that little white dot, this window pops up and it says frame label. And we are going to call this up 1. This is going to be where our animation starts. We're going to make a ball bounce, and we're going to start with the ball up in the air, so up 1. When I deselect, you'll notice a little red flag appears, and that means I have a proper frame label. To make a new frame, what we're going to do is I'm going to go to 10, and 10 frames is roughly about half a second. I'm going to hit F6, which creates a brand new keyframe. Again, we'll talk more about keyframes in the future. Another way of creating a keyframe, if F6 doesn't work, is you go to Insert, Timeline, Keyframe. And so I made a new frame. And then what I'm going to do is in my frame label, we're going to call it down 2. I'm going to go to 20. I'm going to hit F6. And this is going to be up 3. And then we'll go to 30, and we're going to continue all the way down. We want to end on frame 100, which gives us roughly 5 bounces. So go ahead and do that, and then meet me at the next video. All right, see you then.